Welcome into the Alabama Football Report. I am your host, Chris Daughtry. Appreciate you guys joining us for today's show. We're going to be talking a lot about recruiting on today's show. We've taken a couple weeks off now when it comes to that recruiting angle because, fall practice has started now. And we've been really talking about, what Alabama's been looking like at practice, but there's still a lot of recruits that Alabama's still going after, and they still have to keep those guys on board that they were able to get committed during the summertime. Alabama had a really big summertime, getting a lot of recruits on board, and it's still a long way away till that December 4th early signing period rolls around. They got to keep those guys committed. Make sure you guys are subscribed right here to the Alabama Football Report. We are inching closer to that 18.5 thousand subscriber mark. We're only 111 away, so make sure you guys hit that sub button. We are just a couple of weeks away now from our Alabama watch parties coming up. I'm so excited for those. We're going to have a lot of fun, so make sure you guys hit that sub button for me right now. The first recruit that I want to talk about today is Kaliq Lockett. On Wednesday, he went ahead and made that announcement. He committed to Texas. Lockett was the number 5 wide receiver in this class, but he really didn't get into the conversation really soon. He didn't get into, talking to Alabama until Keelon Russell committed in June. And then, things really started to pick up for him. So it's not really a surprise that he went to Texas. Really, Alabama and Texas were those top 2 schools for him, but the Longhorns were really the school to beat at the end of the day. Alabama never really expected to take a third wide receiver. Pretty much from the jump, they've been going after 2 wide receivers, and, I think they got the 2 guys that they want. They've got Lotzeir Brooks. They've got Caleb Cunningham, 2 guys that are just super, super electric. Caleb Cunningham being the number 2 wide receiver in the 2025 recruiting class. I think Lotzeir Brooks is super underrated for what he can bring to the table. Kind of reminds me of, Ryan Williams, Devontae Smith, kind of a smaller guy, but, he's really fast, he's really strong, and I think he's going to, once he is able to get into Alabama's weight room, he can put the pounds on as well, and, he's going to get even faster probably when he gets to Alabama with that strength and conditioning program that they have there. I think Alabama has hit a home run with the 2 wide receivers that they have in this class. So who is a recruit that you still want that's out there, whether they are committed to another team and Alabama's kind of still in the running for them, or if they're not committed at all? There's a couple names that we are going to continue to talk about on today's show. It is the pinned comment of today's show, so if that ad comes here on YouTube, that's totally fine. You can ignore that ad. Just get down there at the pinned comment and let me know who is a recruit that you still want Alabama to get in this 2025 class. Now, one player that Alabama already has in their 2025 class, Anthony Rogers, the only running back that the Crimson Tide have right now, might be on flip watch. There's been multiple reports lately about Auburn possibly making a push for Anthony Rogers, considering Alabama has kind of, not really talked to him a whole lot since this new staff has come in. They've really been going after AKD really as a priority as a running back target in this class. So Anthony Rogers possibly could be on flip watch to Auburn. And this would be a really big get if that happened for the Auburn Tigers. Last year, they flipped Perry Thompson, one of the best wide receivers in that 2024 class. They've already flipped Antonio Coleman's flipped a couple of times now, so he might stay at Auburn. He's saying he's staying at Auburn, but he also said he was going to stay with his commitment at Alabama. So we'll still, we don't know what's going to happen with Antonio Coleman. He's a total flip of the coin. They also flipped Derek Smith, Alabama, recruiting him as a safety, Auburn more so recruiting him as a wide receiver. So, at the end of the day, it's kind of just preference for Derek Smith. You know what? Sometimes you lose out on guys. Anthony Rogers, the only running back that Alabama has right now, like I said, in their 2025 class. He is a 4-star recruit, number 110 overall, and the number 6 running back in this class. But you know what? The Alabama's still going after A.K. Deere. He's been their biggest priority at that running back spot. Was committed to Ole Miss, and, decommitted a couple months ago, And he was predicted at Alabama, but he's, kind of taking things a little bit slow now. I would rather a kid take things a little bit slower, not rush that commitment, because, the optics of, a flip is not always the best thing. So I appreciate AK Deer really, slowing it down, really deciding on where he wants to go. Chad Simmons talked about where Alabama stands on AK Deer. He said nothing has changed according to sources. AK Deer is still considered an Alabama lean, and he's expected to make a decision this month, but no date has been set. Deer is still talking to Ole Miss. He was at one time committed to the in-state school, but the Crimson Tide is expecting his commitment in the near future. So I want to hear from you guys in the comment section one more time. Are you worried about players flipping from Alabama, not necessarily to Auburn, to really any school? Because we've seen a couple flips so far in this recruiting cycle and in the 2026 recruiting cycle. Let me know in the comment section. Type Y for yes or N for no. Today's show is presented by GameTime. You guys know I love summertime because baseball, one of my favorite sports, is in full swing, and I love making the drive over to Atlanta to see the Braves every single chance I get. Prices on the GameTime app actually go down the closer you get to first pitch, and with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest prices guaranteed, GameTime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. And with Alabama games creeping closer and closer, you can go ahead and get tickets to see the Crimson Tide in action. Get tickets right up to the start of the event. You can even get tickets an hour after the event starts. GameTime has exclusive flash deals. They have sponsor deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy theater, and more. You can go even check out Tom Segura on the 30th, the day before Alabama is set to kick off. GameTime also has zone deals where you pick the section and GameTime picks the seats for big-time savings. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app today. Create an account and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Check out GameTime.co for last-minute tickets. Terms do apply, but again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS. That's CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Download GameTime today. Last-minute tickets, the lowest prices guaranteed. Five-star defensive lineman Justus Terry, previously was committed to Georgia, flips his commitment to USC. Now he's decommitted from USC. He's going to decide to wait until that early signing period to make his official commitment. This is what Chad Simmons said about Justus Terry in where he stands in his recruiting process. He said Justus Terry is not planning on making a decision until around December 4th. That's that early signing period. Alabama, Florida State, Georgia are the main schools in the mix for the Manchester, Georgia defensive lineman. We continue to hear Georgia will be tough to beat. Now, Alabama only has one defensive line commitment right now in their 2025 class. Had Antonio Coleman, we talked about him, flips to Auburn. I would assume that you do not get him back in this class, but the door is open. You never know with that kid. London Simmons, I think he's underrated, honestly. He dropped a lot of weight this offseason, so I thought he looked really good in his junior film. I cannot wait to see how he looks in his senior film. I think he dropped like 40 pounds or something like that. It's absolutely ridiculous for a defensive lineman. I think possibly in the future for Alabama, he could possibly be like at that bandit position. I don't necessarily think he's going to be a defensive tackle for the Crimson Tide, but I cannot wait to see what he does in his senior season because, like I said, I do think London Simmons is a little bit underrated right now when it comes to, most of the recruiting services out there. So where do you guys think Justus Terry will land in this 2025 recruiting class? If you think he's going to land with Alabama, type A in the comments section. If you think it's going to be Florida State, type F, or if you think it's going to be Georgia, type G right now in the comments section.